because you got an hour every day, from 11 to 12 or 12 to 1 or whatever time it was. 1 hour, and, who can't eat in an hour? I mean, now you have to eat in, 22 minutes or something? Not good for anybody's digestive system, but that's neither here nor that's like, I was talking about the pizza and the corn. And poor Mr. Johnson, if we had pizza, I'll be like, you want some corn with that? And he's like, where did you get that from? Of course, see, he never went to high school, well, at Frankfurt High. But anyway, open lunch was a revered part of the day for everyone that was involved, except maybe the administrators. I don't know. Because if you think about all of the liability of letting, 300 kids or 200 kids or however many out in the middle of the day, that was a pretty big responsibility to get them all back. And if we'll forget that I was taking a school law class when I was doing my master's, and that was one of the questions they talked about. Anytime you leave school, the school system is liable for you. And I was like, oh my gosh, So anyway.
How long did open lunch go on for?
What year was it? What year did they dedicate the cafeteria? 2006?
2007. And
2007.
I can remember Governor Ernie Bevins was governor at the time, and I can remember.
Not Ernie Bevins, Ernie Fletcher. You already got on the
Ernie
new one.
Bevins. I got somebody. Ernie
Actually,
Fletcher.
he went to our
a different
church.
Ernie. Yeah, Ernie Fletcher was governor. Okay. And anyway, he said, I didn't know when the cafeteria was first built. He said, I didn't know any school in the whole state of Kentucky didn't have a cafeteria, and he was only 6 blocks away from where he was living. He didn't know that,
But now,
So I
as we
thought-
understand it, there was only one left, and we don't know if that one has a cafeteria or not.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes, it was quite the talk at the time, and actually, and I will tell you this funny little story quickly. The superintendent at that time, who had the plans drawn up to build the new addition on to the school, I was teasing. Actually, I really was teasing about this. And one day, she was showing us the plans and all. And of course, there was originally going to be a balcony above the wall where you come in for the upperclassmen to be able to sit. And it looked pretty nice and all this and that. So I said to her one day, I said, well, gee whiz, are you going to name this after anybody? And she was like, I don't know, I hadn't thought about it. And I said, well, as much as I like to eat, I really think you ought to name it after me. And she went, that will never happen. She didn't have a very good sense of humor. I really was just teasing. So anyway.
But we weren't.
Well, we were then. We weren't. Yeah, we weren't then. We were then. So I didn't even think anything more about it. So consequently, of course, they built the cafeteria so that they could bring the middle school over here because they couldn't let the middle school students go out to lunch. So guess who had to suffer for that? Don't put that in there either. But anyway, I was not in favor
I have
of
been there when the middle school was there, and you could not. I'd be talking to you, as close as I
Oh, yeah, you had to shout.
You couldn't
You had to
hear
shout.
the person
in the
talking to you.
cafeteria.
When the middle school leaves, it's like night and day. It's so quiet and everything. And
Well,
you
now they're not
carry
there.
on the conversation.
But anyway,
Now they're not there,
but
right.
that's why the cafeteria was actually built so they could bring the middle school over. Nobody will probably say that, but anyway. And so there was quite, an uproar, and the students, of course, didn't want to give open lunch. I made the suggestion that they could have, okay, say maybe the freshmen can't go out to lunch, but then the sophomores, juniors, and seniors, they could somehow rotate and let them still go out or whatever. Well, I know that would have been a scheduling nightmare, so I understand. And of course, I made the statement. I said, well, I went to school for 12 years and nobody ever, of course, where I grew up in Campbell County, even in out in the county, there weren't any restaurants to go to for lunch, So I said, I never thought about not having open lunch. But there were some buttons downstairs. I don't know if you saw them in the little case that had open lunch. Everybody wore their buttons. There were meetings, and but ultimately the decision, was made by the school board that lunch would be closed, and so, who could know anything about it? And of course, I have heard. I did not ever personally see this, but I've heard that a lot of the upperclassmen snuck out and could still be seen down at Pickpack during the lunchtime. And anyway, teachers, yes, I do know teachers also, and there were some who said, I will never darken the door of the cafeteria. Well, so anyway, to make a long story short, well, it's already long, it's not that short, but anyway, at some point, Cheryl Smith, we were talking, I guess we had gone out somewhere Ruth and Cheryl Smith. And anyway, we were talking about it, and I said, well, you know, the other superintendent, the last superintendent, and I told the story about that I was jokingly saying you could name it after me, and he goes, you know, he said, we might just see if that'll happen. And so anyway, so that's sort of the story, and then it did end up that, you know, you all
Long
get to,
story
you
short,
all
it's
get to
named-
look at my lovely picture, and Jeff's on the picture too, did you notice?
Well, that was
So
on.
he has-
That's
he
what you
has-
call reflective
he
glory.
has to behave himself, or one of the cats is going to replace him. No. But anyway, so that's it was not very well received by the students at the time, understandably so. But I mean, they didn't riot or you know whatever. But a lot of them, they were like, I'm not going to the cafeteria. You know, I would try to make suggestions because my students would say, oh my gosh, the food is horrible. Can't you do something about it? And I'd say, well, you know, I'll do what I'll say what I can say, and so forth and so on, and you know, but anyway.
One other
I'm
tradition